Hey everyone, welcome back to RxJS Tech. Today we are diving deeper into Angular by implementing a dynamic menu right inside our sidebar. Remember the sidebar tutorial I did recently? Yep, we are using that layout today. If you have not seen that video or need a refresher on how to create a sidebar on Angular, no worries, I have got you covered. Check out the link in the description below to watch that tutorial first. Ready to supercharge that sidebar with dynamic menu? So let's jump right in. Alright, so first of all I will open the sidebar, and in the sidebar you can see that I have few hard-coded links: dashboard, users, products, orders, and settings. Now we are going to make it dynamic. To make that possible, I will just open the sidebar component, the TS file of this component, and here I will create a property with the name sidebar items is equal to, it is going to be an empty array. You can give it a type as well. For now I'm going to have an array of strings. So in that array I am going to have the labels of those links, but I think that we should have more than string. We should have an object that will have a label and the URL or the path of the URL that we are going to add in the href. So for that I am going to give it a different type. It is going to be an object in every item of this array, and first property would be the label, and then we are going to have a link string. You can have more properties if you want to. It is totally fine. Now you can see that we have few menu items: home, about, contact, and I'm going to have few more. Instead of this I will have logout. So let me add few more. Okay, so now it's time to utilize these menu items array in the HTML. For that I will get rid of all of these anchor tags and I will keep only one, and here I will use the ngFor directive. Let item of items sidebar items. So this, make sure that this variable spelling are same exactly like in here, so because we are referencing to this property. Now we are running a loop on this anchor tag, so we can use the variable item in every iteration, and we know that every item has label property in it. Now if you open it, you will see these links. If you go back to the TS, if you add any more link, you will see that in the real time. Save it. And now if you look at that, we have that new menu item added. Now it's time to add these links in the href. For that, as we are going to reference to the property of an object that is a part of JavaScript, so as we are going to use JavaScript, that's why I must have to wrap the href in the square brackets, and here we need to use the here we need to use the item dot link. Okay, so now if you hover on any of these links, you will see, look at on the bottom left side, you can see the URLs that are added to these anchor tags. You can also look at the inspect element to see the links that are generated: /home, /about, contact, products, etc. I'm going to get rid of that hello world. Okay, so everything is fine. In the case of logout, you can use a link, or mostly I call a function when you click on the logout button. So I mostly used to have a service where I place the session related functions that maintain or destroy the sessions. So whenever somebody clicks on the logout button, I call a function from that service that simply logs out the session. So for that, let me do that. So first of all, I'm going to create a service. So but before doing that, you can just do that without having a service as well. So let me quickly show you that. So instead of having link, I will have the other thing, that is function. You can give it any name. We are getting this error because we have defined a type, and we are saying that we can have only two properties of every object of this array, but we should make the link property optional, and also we need to add another property function, and that should also be optional. And the type of this, so the type of this property would be a function that I have defined here. Now here you can remove the user session and token from the local storage. So mostly we save and maintain the session information in the local storage. So once you click on the logout button, we clear the session from the local storage. And also in some cases you want to reload the entire web page. So but it is not compulsory, because if you are referencing the property in a service, it will be updated in the real time. So I will show you that part as well. So now let's go back to the HTML, and here I will check that if we have the item link, then I will use the item link. Otherwise I will add JavaScript void. So we want to add it in single quotes. In that way it will work properly. And once that is done, I will add a click event on this anchor tag, and here I will check if there is item.fun function, then I will call that. Okay, so I have used the ternary operator, that if it is true, then it will call this function, otherwise it will do nothing, it will just return a string. So now let's test it, but before that, here I will add an alert so that we could see if something is happening here, if this function is called or not. Okay, let's try it. So I clicked on the logout and I can see the alert, but if you click on any other link, then you will see that the path has been changed in the address bar. So now I can use the service as well. Let me generate a service. So you can keep this function in the service as well. So let's do that. ng serve service, and the name of the service is going to be session or auth. Okay, the service has been generated, that you can see here. Now here I will create a function logout, and this is going to have the same logic. And now we are going to access this function from here. So before accessing anything from any service, you must have to inject that service in your component. For that, I will add private auth service. Okay, with that, it has imported the service in my component class. Now I will just simply use this property, and instead of doing the logic by myself, I will just use this .auth service .logout. I will call the logout function from here, and this logout function will implement its logic, whatever it is supposed to do. So with that approach, you can easily implement the logout. Okay, so for example, you have done the logout, and you, after it is logged out, after the session has been cleared, you can simply redirect the user back to the home page. So for example, for that you will need to inject another service, router. Okay, now you can use this router.navigate by URL, and you can give it a path /login. Right now these paths are not defined yet, so you will not see any page there, but you will see those paths in the URL. So now I am going to click on the logout, with that, it tried to redirect to the login, but the login path does not exist. We did not define that route yet. That's why it could not take us to that page, but it took us to on this page. I think that's it. So you can also show an alert as well. You have been logged out. Okay, now I'm on the products page, and if you click on the logout, you will see that you have been logged out. We can do another interesting thing is that if user is logged out, then we can simply hide the logout button, and we can also hide the logout button from the header as well. So for that, I need to create another function like session so I'm trying to create a getter is logged in. This will return a boolean value. So here I will check that if there is a session with the property, if there is a local storage item with the name user, and this will convert it into the boolean value. So if it is found, then it will turn it into the true value, and if it is not, then it will turn it into the false value. So now I can use this property as the indicator. So now go back to the sidebar, and here I can add another property here, hide. And in the hide, I will check this dot auth service is logged in. We have to add this property in our type as well. So, and this is going to be optional again. I'm checking if user is logged in. If user is not logged in, then we need to hide it. If user is logged in, then we don't need to hide. So this is going to be true if it is logged out, and if user has logged in, then this hide would be equal to false. Okay, now here I will check that in order to use the if condition, you cannot use ngFor and ngIf on the same tag. So you have to add another element. I am going to use ng container. Okay, and I will move everything in that. So, and I will move the ngFor to the ng container. Now I can add the ngIf condition here. If item dot hide, if item is dot hide is false, then we need to show it. If it is true, then we don't need to show it. So now let's test it. So right now user is not logged in, so we need to add the session user in the local storage. So right now we don't have that form, so I will just simply manually add that. So open the inspect element and click on the application and click on the local storage, and here we need to add it. In the key section, I will add user, and you can add anything. Yes. Okay, now if you reload it, you should see the logout button, because now we have the user property in the local storage. Let's go back to the logic. Now we don't need to redirect to any page. We'll simply update that, and also as we want to make it reactive, we have to make some changes in this logic. So I will show you what happens if I just use it as it is. So now if you click on logout, the logout button will not go away immediately. You will have to reload the page. So I clicked on that. You can see that logout button is still there, but the session has been deleted from the local storage. But if you reload it, then logout button will be gone. So we want to hide it in the real time. So for that, I will add the user again and reloaded. Okay, so now I will create a local property that would be session. Okay, and the type for now is going to be any. In the constructor, whenever this application is loaded for the first time, as you know that every service is instantiated only once in the entire lifetime of the application. So for example, whenever you opened your application, whenever a component is loaded, if that component has injected this service, then this service this constructor would be executed at that time once, but it will not execute it multiple times. So I will recover my session from the local storage in the constructor. So I am getting my user back from the local storage and saving it in the session. And now I don't know if we need this one, so let me use the session everywhere instead. Also, when you log out, we need to unset the session property. So I will set this dot session is equal to null because we have logged out. Now go back to our component, and here instead of using is logged in, I will check the session. If there is not any session, then it will if there is a session, then it will hide the, let me think, if there is no session, then it will hide the logout button, but if there is a session, then it will not hide it. So no, I think we don't need this getter, so I will delete it. And now let's try it again. Now here you can see that we have the logout, and now I'm going to click on the logout. And well, to fix this issue, we need to create another function, generate sidebar items. Okay, and I am going to keep it empty for now. And whenever this function is executed, we will set the data into that property. Okay, so very first time whenever this component is loaded, we will call this function, this dot generate items. So it will load the items into that variable. And also whenever we call this function, we know that this property will be updated, so we can call this function again, and this will update the object, and this property would also be updated by using the latest value of the session from the auth service. Now let's test it. Right now there is no session. I will add user, reload it. Now click on that. Okay, and you can see that the logout button has been disappeared in real time. Similarly, we can hide and show the logout button in the header as well. So open the header, and here first of all I need to inject the auth service in the constructor. This time I'm going to use public auth service, and we make sure to import it in the top like this. Once that is done, go to the HTML and add the if condition. Here you can add auth service dot session. If there is a session, then we need to show the logout button, otherwise we don't have to show it. So now reload it, and you can see that logout button has gone. Now I will add my session back. So go to the application, local storage, add the user, enter it, reload it. Now you can see the logout button in both areas. And now if you click on the logout button, you will see that logout button has been disappeared in the header and sidebar at the same time. You can link the logout button in the header as well with the logout function. So here I will add JavaScript void 0, and I will add click event, and now I will access the auth service dot logout. So now both buttons are functional. Let me add my session back, and then I will give it a try. So reload it, and now click on the logout button, and you will see that it would disappear in both places again. This time it did not disappear in the sidebar, so we have to improve that. We can so now this is going to be more and more complex. So here you can create a subject, session update subject. Okay, make sure to import it from RxJS. So whenever a session is updated, we will emit that change. So for that I will use this dot session update dot next. You can also pause the session if you want to. And similarly, the session is updated in the logout function as well. So I will emit that change. Now we can listen to that event. So for that, go to the sidebar. And here you can, as soon as this component is loaded, you can subscribe to that observer or subject. For that, use this .auth service .session update .subscribe and receive the session that you just created, that we are receiving from there. And now you can just call this function generate sidebar items, so it will re-render the sidebar items for us, because whenever this function is called, it will try to get the latest value of the session from the auth service and set the value for the hide property accordingly. So now let's give it a try again. Inspect and add that. Okay. Now I will click on the logout and you will see that logout has been disappeared in both places at the same time. And that's how you add a dynamic menu to our previously built Angular sidebar. With this approach, you can easily manage and update your menu items, making your web application even more scalable and user-friendly. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it, and if you have not already, consider subscribing for more Angular magic. Have questions or suggestions? Drop them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.